I super want to start a little Bitcoin mining operation. I want to do it in Texas. I want to go to the city of Bridgeport. That's where I want to go. There's a Lutheran Church Missouri Synod there, and what I want to do with the Bitcoin is sell enough to pay for expenses, and then I want to fund my little software and paralegal based nonprofit that helps human trafficking victims. So we're going to do paralegal work and IT work and tech work for lawyers and private investigators who rescue people who are being human trafficked and also do aftercare work for them. And one of the things is to pay conservative Christian biblical counselors to help people. Um, And we want to donate also to the private investigation groups that actually do the rescue. So we're going to do just paralegal and technology work. But mining Bitcoin, it's such a great deal. Going to Texas, the electricity is lower. There's a Lutheran Church Missouri Synod in Bridgeport, and it's near Dallas and Fort Worth. Trying to connect with some of the businesses over there, some of the people I know and have been networking with who are in different law enforcement agencies and have been in past governmental agencies and run different businesses. Um, I think I can connect with them better two ways. One, just being a little closer to where they are, but also the electricity cost is so much lower in Texas. Everywhere in the state is so much lower than California. There's like no reasonable plan for making a Bitcoin mining operation work here. I mean, if you had a bunch of solar panels and somebody you just had them, well, and you had extra electricity somewhere, yeah, then you could turn it into Bitcoin. You're already paying for it. You know, if you weren't using all the electricity that came in through your solar panels, you can make some Bitcoin, but it's a good amount of electricity. But it is something like 6 times less expensive in Texas, and it costs like 90,000 something to make one Bitcoin in the state of California of electricity. Not to mention other costs like cooling expenses, rent, things like that. Taxes, you have to deal with all of that, whether you expense the electricity or capitalize it. Um, just a great opportunity, though. You can make enough profit and buy more miners as you go, and even borrow against it, and then lend out stablecoin, borrow stablecoin, and lend out stablecoin a little higher of an interest rate. There's so many things you can do with Bitcoin. Um, but yeah, I'm looking at Texas. I want to sell some type of investment in it, but I don't know. Doing a private offering is difficult. Doing a public offering, that'd be another thing too. But I only need, I think, like if you start with 300,000, you can really get there quickly. Get to a few million in a few years. Bitcoin's gonna be done being mined in like 2040. People like me, I've had all the basic skills the whole time Bitcoin has been like blowing up. I just kind of like wasn't into it. I was in seminary and working with kids on juvenile probation, doing youth ministry. When I also had my off grid setup, I had solar panels and like a container box up in the Mojave Desert. That's where I was. I was up there, and I just I was into solar panels and battery banks and inverters and stuff just for the time I lived off grid before I purchased the houses when I was doing the youth ministry, doing community service with kids on juvenile probation. Um, that is basically all of everything you need to be able to do, uh, licensed and insured wiring, warranties, insurance. I was an Abrams tank mechanic. There's nothing more complex about Bitcoin mining than all the systems put together in one Abrams. I mean, you have more to worry about things like fire. It's your investment, not the military's. equipment. That's the great thing about being a mechanic or a technician in the military is you get all the parts, you get all the tools, all the little resources. Bitcoin miners are like LRUs, line replaceable units in a bigger system. So your whole business system is probably like how a vehicle is, and then when you do your multimeter test of your schematic on your breakout box, you see where you have your discontinuities, and that's the thing that's not working right. So you pull it out and put a new one in. Well, you know, any one little bottleneck in a process is the same type of way. Specific uh, miners. I mean, the thing is simple. There's just a whole bunch of the same things, like, brr. But it takes money to get to some money that is valuable enough to get beyond like whatever your regular bills are. Like if you, let's say your regular bills are like 4,000 a month, you'd want to you have to think of spending that much more over there for a rental. And it's like if you have a house, probably 300,000 of equity. If you took it out, you probably have to take out like 400,000 to cover yourself. If you had it, you could do it very easily. Stop working, go set up a Bitcoin mining operation. You have to figure out what municipalities have different little rules and stuff and where their exact electricity rate is. But a lot of, if you start with 40 miners, that's not that many. That's not the mega mining that they're looking at. They are talking in some places in Texas about making people produce their own electricity, which I don't know. They have a deregulated electrical grid. So I guess maybe you'd try to do something like produce enough electricity for you and to tie into the grid somehow to make some deal with the larger grid. That'd be cool. I was looking at not exactly selling to the grid up in the Mojave, but getting propane and or natural gas. I think I was looking at propane house generators, like backup house generators. When I was up there, I ran a well off of a what was it, a 7,000 watt generator. Simple. I never needed more electricity. I had a light bulb, a laptop, an iPhone, a 25-watt fan. That was it. I had a propane refrigerator when I was off grid. I also had an evaporative refrigerator that I made out of terracotta pots, like one inside the other. That's it. With a well, you just pump the water and then it's all gravity fed. I mean, you fill the well up like a 2,000 gallon tank, 5,000 gallon tank. I had a big old tank. That's it. I never needed anything, man. I went to the store like once a week. I got like enough ground beef. All I bought was like, I lived off of 4 bean salad, ice cream, cornflakes, and ground beef. Ice cream was the best part of getting a propane refrigerator, though. I could move up from just having some milk and cheese inside the evaporative cooler to ice cream and ground beef. I eat beef like I'd go to the grocery store twice a week and buy enough to just like eat a hunk. I eat like a pound of meat just all at once, just cook it right when I got home, conk out, and then just like don't do it for another 3 days and just eat 4 bean salad. Yeah, but Bitcoin, I don't know. There's 10, 15 years left. If I could get there, like tomorrow, I'd go, but I don't want to leave my employer in a ditch for my own record. Being an armed bank security guard, I don't want to do anything that attaches to my guard card or my exposed firearm permit, like leaving the wrong way or anything. I work for a really large company. We're all over the country. But that's the thing. We could fund software, paralegal work, and nonprofit work, and also donate to other nonprofits that actually do the physical rescue, like the PI work, research. I'm into the research part of PI work and the research part of law. I wouldn't not be into doing actual physical rescues. But I mean, that really does take former law enforcement experience in working with local law enforcement, different places, this country and in other countries. So, I mean, I just only would ever All I imagine is doing operational support work. I thought about doing fugitive recovery because that is different because you're not dealing with a kid who's being kidnapped and is being human trafficked. Like waiting outside with a crew of people, like around a house when one person is trying to go in and get someone to give themselves up. Somebody runs out. Like one big thing I thought about is DUI in other states. People who run to California, they're not one super bloodthirsty criminals. They just think a DUI isn't important, but that bail bondsman thinks it's important, and he's also going to try and sue for what it costs to actually go after you and find you if somebody runs. So that type of action, like somebody running out and just shoulder checking someone or something, like dude, that's a lawful arrest. It's lawful incidental to a recovered fugitive. Um, But actual like super criminal operations, I don't ever want to deal with that type of thing. Thinking like, oh, my Marine Corps training is gonna help me. No, it's not. It'll only help you like dealing with someone's just trying to physically run. Like you can deal with that as a former Marine, no problem. I had someone try to run me over on an e-bike before, and I axe murdered them. Gave me whiplash. I dislocated my neck. It wasn't fun, but just junk like that's just like rather pedestrian, rather athletic of a thing, and not really like anything to do with de facto law enforcement training. But yeah, I don't know. These guys do something really important and they know how to work with the police because they've been police themselves. Doing research, I got into this whole thing about like doing human trafficking, um, civil prosecution work as a contract paralegal business operator came because I was doing small claims and enforcement of judgment, legal document assistance, and having to do asset location. I was buying small claims, so I was looking for all these private investigator routes to find assets to to use to levy on and to enforce the judgment, and right next to like asset location was all this like other stuff private investigators do. I start clicking on things one way or another. My algorithms got filled up to the point where like I don't care about enforcement of judgment anymore. It's interesting to know about because enforcement judgment, fugitive location, and like the open source intelligence that and other types of intelligence that go into finding a human trafficking victim. I mean, it's good to know about. It's good to know about the laws. There's an interplay of laws between legal research for private investigators and other thing. The interplay of laws about just different issues that where multiple private investigator groups are working together across multiple jurisdictional boundaries, state lines, whether in doing a sting, some of these guys have to deal with one people are in one state and another state. One state is like a single party consent state, and the other one is a two party consent state. So I don't know. I think like if we started this year, we could really fund a larger, more well funded operation with Bitcoin. And here's the other thing about it is that the reason why it has to be privately funded is because regular humans, like, okay, I'm Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. I'm a conservative Lutheran. I believe that God is good. God created a very good creation, and then sin entered the picture, and humans were flipped backwards, where our spirit was connected to the spirit of God, which controlled our minds then and controlled our flesh. And there was nothing wrong, but it's immediately turned upside down, so that our flesh and our fleshly mind dominate our spirit and keep us disconnected from God and Christ. And salvation occurred at the cross and is delivered to us through the ministry of word and sacrament. That's my view. And God instituted government at the exact same time that he created law. He had to utter law into this broken creation. So there's these sets of things that are legal but not not what God wants. It's lawful devilry. Um, Most people still, even though we're all sinners, no one's perfect, still, because of a broken creation, people aren't all the way the worst part of it. We're all disconnected from God, but regular society doesn't have an imagination for what goes on. You don't have an imagination for how human trafficking works unless you get into the. It's not a morbid fascination. You have to realize that the numbers are that these people are being abused all over the globe, and our governments can't get enough support from people. It's not going to happen. There's not going to be enough support from the voting populace because there's no imagination for what abuse is actually happening. Tax dollars aren't allocated for it, so private investigators have to raise their own money or be paid by people to go and do rescues. And so, I mean, if they can find someone, then local law enforcement will do an arrest. That's how that works. But kids are just like runaway kids. They're missing children, and families have a premonition, a feeling because of things that have occurred right before they went missing that this person was caught up with some bad people somehow, whatever it is, and then they think they're being sex trafficked. So we have to raise funds for it. That's why right now, like with Bitcoin going to 21 million, Bitcoin being mined, and there being 15 years left in it, and the numbers being how they are, we really can go to Texas and set up a mining operation. And we can fund permanently through also funding software and paralegal, like doing some other paid work that needs money to start it. We can borrow and lend and keep something funded with just a few hundred people putting in $1,000 each is way I look at it. Is that if you get 300 people with $1,000 for a bond and you just want your $70 a year and then your $1,000 back at the end, then you know you've helped create a financial engine that keeps a business going long term, like several hundred years beyond how long I will live. Uh, that's my concept of it. So be great to work together. There's a lot of people to coordinate. People sell bonds and things for startup projects all the time. I mean, maybe within the year I'll get a little bit more together. I'm working on my EA and my MBA at the same time, so I don't know. You see stuff, see too many different like things that pop out there. Well, it's all the same thing. It's the law and technology and the taxes of a business that's meant to run perpetually to fund child abuse, victims advocacy, and other at-risk populations. So, not a perfect salesperson, but I think if you get a little bit more of an imagination for what wrong there is that goes on, you can see it as an altruistic benefit. Faith-based investing is what it is, and it's not just faith based. It's the concept of the numbers that it keeps going because even if you don't have the same faith as me, you see that kids being rescued from sex trafficking is important. These types of situations can go on financially and keep producing a positive result for crime victims. So that's it. I'm off my tiny soapbox. But I got a bigger fisheye lens. You can see some of my other books. I had like only this stuff. Oh, here's my actual books. I was trying to hide from you all the things that are like actually intelligent. I just wanted to look like stupid and sloppy right here.